Shell Branch, you set me free. It's Dan RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there's doing awesome. Got a viewer requested show here, I guess, for today. The fear of not knowing, I think is what I'm going to call it. We'll see, because I frequently change my mind on that. And this kind of covers a lot of things. And one thing I wanted to say before I totally got into this, and it kind of just dawned on me going into this, I guess at some point I'm going to do a show, because, like, you know, an extension for a week has been added to my day. So I'm just going to kind of go dark on this, and I'm not going to really bring up the date I've got coming up. I'll talk about it after. I'll talk about it days after. So I won't really kind of get back into it for, I don't know, 3 weeks or so. We'll see what happens. The extension's not that long, mind you, but I just want to buy myself some time. Everything seems great and groovy. But what I guess, kind of forget to mention is, man, I went through some really tough times in the relationship department. So I kind of forgotten, I guess I take for granted, that there's been a number of times that I've literally had my heart ripped out of my chest in like horrible ways. I've been cheated on, I've been lied to, I've been a whole 9 yards, right? I've been stranded in another state with another person's family that wasn't mine. So I'm not scared. There's nothing my specific person could do that could possibly scare me. So again, I'll try to get into like that at some point in a future show, but I do apologize. I just kind of realized, I'm like, yeah, I guess you don't really realize that it's just easy sometimes, Dan, because you're not really scared, and that's why I'm not. So it is cool when you get to that point, mind you, where there's no fear. That helps a lot, but I don't recommend going through it. It was kind of like that teacher show I taught or did. That's kind of one of those things that you learn, like kind of going through this. You're going to go through some interesting times. So anyway, fear. Oh, Dan, looking forward now. I've tried things sometimes just to see if they would work in my manifestation. I recommend this, by the way. Some did, some didn't. As far as frustration goes, I now can actually feel when it's about to start. My frustration mostly comes from not knowing the answer to this specific question. I'm actually okay with the waiting and not knowing how it's going to happen. When I start thinking about not knowing the answer to that question, sometimes I feel frustration creeping in. Now that question, put it in finger quotes, that question is each and every one of our individual question. It's that thing that like we want to know, right? The fact that they didn't text us back immediately is not really the problem. It's symptomatic of what's really bothering us, which is this question, right? This thing, I don't know this answer. How can I know this answer? You need to know, right? You need to know in order to move forward. But unfortunately, as we've discussed in other shows, you're not going to get that proof in advance. That's kind of what's interesting about this, is it's more of an acting as if this is what you have, or knowing basically that manifestation works in the sense of you create the image in your mind, you hold it enough times, and then that's what will be. It is the way it is. That's why they called it The Secret and The Secret. That's all this stuff is basic. I mean, I kind of learned it. I want to say it was Conversations with God, which, by the way, a link below is another one of the books which played a huge part in my life. Again, it was 1,000 years ago when that book came out, so maybe there's way better stuff, but these are the books that mattered to me. These are the books that really altered my life path, and the whole Conversations with God trilogy was huge. And that was truly where I started to realize that what you think about is what you create. And that was where I started learning about manifestation on my own. I didn't have Esther Hicks. I didn't know Esther Hicks. She was there. She was out there. I just didn't know about her. I hadn't gotten there. The internet wasn't really happening at the time. So I didn't really know. I knew about channeling. There was a number of things. You know, Seth Speaks was a book I really, really enjoyed. Right? There's a number of these things that happen. But ultimately, you kind of just, you work through these moments. I have no idea where I was attempting to go with that. But these answers, not knowing, trying to come to terms with that, and you just don't get those answers. The reason you don't get them is because, again, that's part of the process. I guess that's where I was going. It's part of knowing this is how this works, and you do it, and then from that causation, you see the outcome happen, and then you do it again, you see it again, you do it again, you see it again. And then you start going for things that are a little more challenging, like relationships, because there's that emotional attachment. And it gets a little scary because there's more involved to it. There's aspects that affect ourselves personally, our lives, and theirs, of course. There's aspects that maybe affect where we're living, what kind of car we drive, right? If you got a beat-up car and you're going to possibly have kids in the near future, well, a new car is going to definitely have to come into play somehow, probably, right? Whatever. Like, whatever the case is, whatever's needing to build is building. And plus the fact that there's dynamics between two people and then families. And, you don't just marry the person, you marry their family, right? So it's interesting how it all plays out. So knowing is truly a challenging thing, but there are ways to get indications from the universe that are helpful in showing. So I kind of got like a top 7 and then like 4 other little doohickeys that I think kind of come into play to help us gauge where we're at. So I'll go over those real quickly. And also, I don't remember who it was. I want to say it was Tony Robbins, and I might be wrong on that. No, it wasn't. It was some famous person. But what they do is they keep their sights on where they're going, not where they're at. That's kind of another thing that's good to remember sometimes. When we're trying to imagine from out there, stay focused on the goal. Stay focused down the road. And when we don't look at our feet, when we don't notice where we're at per se, and just keep working towards that moment, knowing that it's coming, because it's often it's coming, right? I mean, I don't know. It's all mind games to a degree, but ultimately, right? You got to believe it's out there, or it ain't going to happen. So how do we know that we're making progress? How do we know that we're moving in the right direction, that we're maybe not riding with the handbrake on as much, right? Maybe it's on a little, but for the most part, kind of off, right? What are some of the things that can indicate that you're on your way? One that's really good, by the way, is the numbers 111 or 1111 or on the clock 1111. Like, if you're seeing number patterns like that, especially 1111, that's a really good one. That's a real strong sign that awakening's occurring within you. Like, things are starting to happen. The universe is sort of talking to you unabated, unquestioned, unasked for. It's talking to you. And I say universe, I probably, mean higher power source, whatever we want to call these this individual or power or whatever. I don't know. Another way you can tell, your intuition is on fire. You keep just having moments where you're like, holy crud, I just totally knew that. Or I knew so-and-so was going to text me. Or I knew that person was going to walk around and say that. Or I knew that person was going to come in this morning. Or I knew she was going to give us a test today. Or whatever, right? Like, your intuition's just lately been abnormally strong and on fire. Maybe you feel people's emotions and you're getting confirmations that you're right? That's called empath or empathy, or empathic is also a very common way to look at that. And it actually has to do with your EQ. So you got IQ, intelligence, and then you get your EQ, which is your emotional quotient. That actually ties into your feeling, your empathy, your empathic abilities. And that's actually where a lot of this soul type stuff tends to come from. Your spirit guides, animals, or totems are starting to appear. For those of you that don't really know what those things are, they're good stuff to get into. Everybody's got a teacher, a master teacher for sure. Everyone's got totems. They're animals that show up in your life frequently, typically. Like the old Native American totem poles, right? That's what a totem is, basically, and shamans had them, and a number of very earthly spiritual people have had these totems. And so different animals, if there's animals that mean something to you, maybe you see them frequently, they're good things to look up. Like, look up the word totem and then that animal, or shaman, totem, animal, Native American, animal, totem, whatever. If you look those things up online, you'll see some very, very cool things when certain animals seem to be talking to you. So again, these are ways to kind of have an idea that, oh, wow, I'm on track. Another good thing, rainbows. Seeing rainbows once in a while. As odd as that may sound, that's actually very cool, and it's a very beautiful thing. One, it's white light broken into its 7 colors, even though there's a whole hue, and it's not really 7, it's probably millions, right? But Roy G. Biv, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, right? So the whole rainbow. When you're seeing that prismatic, gorgeous effect that's just happening from normal light being spread like that, that's actually a very beautiful thing, and also quite symbolic. Even if you see a sticker on a car, maybe they're homosexual. It's okay, right? But they might have that rainbow sticker. That counts. You're seeing a rainbow. I think that's cool because I live close to a number of places, so I see those things all the time. It's awesome. Start finding money, or you start manifesting savings, right? Like, suddenly money's starting to come into your world in a very cool way. You don't have to worry about it. You're not concerned. Like, these sorts of things are good indicators that you've kind of got your machines rolling. You're moving along fine. Your manifestation machine is cruising. So if in those cases it doesn't necessarily seem like you're getting the evidence you want, but you know that like money's happening, things are happening, you're getting your parking places all the time, like everything's falling in line and you're in groovy timing at all times, you're going to have to assume that other piece of your manifestation falls in line with that. That's your indication. Everything's going good except this little black spot that you're not sure about. Well, if everything's going good, the black spot's part of that too. It's going good. Just have a little more faith, have a little more patience. You'll get there. Your sleep is more restful and your dreams are deeper. You'll start having some really interesting dreams. I know some people dream a lot. Some people don't dream much. It's when the dreams become very real. Those are the good ones. And I hear people make comments frequently. It's the dreams that are very real that are certainly very cool to take note of. And those are usually, I've found, at least when they've happened to me and people I've talked to, that they definitely are in line with answers you want. Right? The weirder ones where, who knows, you're flinging popcorn kernels at a guy and you're trying to get him through his straw that's attached to his forehead and you're, like, why am I trying to, right? Whatever. That is just, you got to have a whack out dream. Your brain's doing something freaky. Who knows what work's been doing. But it's the real ones, the realistic ones, especially when it's with your significant person or they're in the dream. That's always very, very cool. And it's interesting to see just on an abstract, like maybe you have a dream where they're off in the distance, right? They see you in the balcony and maybe they see you, maybe they don't, like whatever, but they're off in a distance, but they're there. Okay, they're there. They're coming a little ways off. Relax. Give yourself time, right? If they're right in front of you, that might mean it's a lot closer than you realize. So again, a lot of times we just kind of got to shake it off and move forward. It's okay. Things are happening. They're working out beautifully. And you'll start to notice more synchronicities in your life. And this is one of the things I love talking about because it's one of my favorite parts of my day. I see multiple synchronicities every single day, every single day. It's like one of the coolest parts. It's like, what neat stuff am I going to see today? They happen all the time. And it's cool. It's just part of enjoying life. Part of enjoying how all this stuff works, part of enjoying knowing that I'm a co-creator in my world, and I take great responsibility and pride in the fact that things in my general life are actually pretty good, and it's because of what I've been doing. It's my efforts. So again, synchronicities, you'll notice it, the whole big picture. These are some definite, awesome ways that you can tell you're heading in the right track. Another thing too, you're going to feel better. You generally just feel good. You're happy most of the time, maybe. Maybe you're generally just, you just feel good. You're happy. You feel you're great, whatever. You're tending to eat healthier, whatever the case is. You just generally overall feel better. That's a good indication that you're on the right track. Got a lot of frustration, a lot of angst, a lot of anger, a lot of sad and all these things. Okay, these are kind of problems that need some attention. You need to come up with some sort of way to get to that point where you're just, all right, life's good. I'm okay. No matter what happens, I'm okay with me because I don't need something else to be happy. I'm happy right now. Right now, without anything else added to the mix, I am totally happy. Would it be cool to have this awesome lady come into my life and be happy with me? Yeah, but if she doesn't, I'm still happy right now. I'm still happy tomorrow. I'm still happy a week from now. That's just going to probably take this to a level of happiness that, who knows, right? But it's going to be interesting because I think there's going to be that whole, you start to vibrate off each other or resonate, if you will. Anyway, obstacles and all manners of crap are coming up. Now, this is actually a very interesting point. It's why I brought this into this. You'll start having odd things come to the surface, weird karmas, weird maybe fights with people that you shouldn't be, or maybe just odd moments where you're kind of a little disheveled with some people, and then you end up having to have a talk and kind of work things out. Maybe your best friend and you had a weird fight. But these are kind of good too, because stuff is sometimes coming to the surface that we need to get out. These emotions, this energy, this whatever maybe thing that happened in our lives that's causing this sort of open wound, if you will. These things need to come to the surface. They need to be dealt with and helped and healed. And then once you do that, it's gone. It's out of the way. It's good. It's gone, right? So now it's not an obstacle in your path trying to slow you down. Maybe that was something that was keeping you from your significant other, and you were able to work it out with a best friend, come to terms with it, realize maybe you're doing something weird, apologize, forgive, whatever you needed to do, and then all of a sudden now everything's groovy on the other side. Stepping stones. You start to appreciate what I like to call the dots in between, right? You start to see the stepping stones form. You start to realize, oh my God, I've already taken like 4 steps. Like there's already 4 interesting things that have happened that are leading me. I mean, like I can tell these stepping stones are like, these are things that kind of needed to happen. Now all of a sudden they've happened. Wow, that's weird. Like, almost like things are in process, like I like to talk about, right? I am moving in that direction. And the stepping stones are excellent markers, not just places to put your foot, but also wonderful markers that, yeah, you're on your way. It's groovy. It's woohoo, right? All right, almost manifestations. This is a good one, too. This is also kind of strange, but you were close, but it was not quite what you wanted. Now, this applies a lot more than just in relationships. This applies kind of more in the realm of maybe trying to manifest a car, manifest a job, manifest money, these kinds of things. But a lot of times they'll show up very close to you, and you'll, like maybe you're trying to manifest a car, for example, and you start seeing that car everywhere, all around you. Neighbor suddenly gets one, right? And you're like, that's weird. And then you've even got one that pulls up and you're like able to kind of touch it, or there's one in a parking lot you're walking through and you're able to kind of just touch it or look inside. But then maybe one day you finally go to the dealership and you sit in it. A friend of mine was talking about like one of the new Miata, I guess it comes out, and you sit in it, and he says like everywhere you look, it's a blind spot. Like, man, that's not quite what I wanted. I thought that was it. Doesn't quite work. Relationships can be that way too. We can certainly manifest people finally, and then they get into our lives, and we're like, yeah, I'm still not happy with this person. Maybe it was a breakup, right? And then you realize, yeah, we should have just stayed apart. Sometimes it works out. Sometimes you learn things. No matter what, you're going to learn something. But oftentimes, these answers will come to you. So again, sometimes you'll get almost, and then you realize, no, that's not quite what I want. Let me go back to the drawing board and refine this a little bit, and then push that back out, get that wheel turning, or just make that small refinement. And sometimes that's enough. That's enough for the universe. Like, no, I got this. It's cool. I already had that kind of lined up because I knew we'd be here, but I needed you to make that decision yourself. So I gave you what you asked for, and then you said, oh, no, and here we go. So give me a week, and that's coming now. Again, and it's not, I personify the universe way more than I intend to. I don't mean to. It works well for the discussion. It's your higher self that's doing all this stuff. Universe is just giving and receiving. It does not care. Universe has no concerns at all about you in any way, shape, or form. It's here to assist us. It's here to do what it does, which is to manifest. And that's based off of what we think, say, and do. It's up to us to try to learn how to do that, so we don't damage ourselves in our lives, right? Like we don't wish horrible things upon ourselves. So that's where the higher self's constantly looking out and working with us and talking to us through our dreams and all this crazy stuff, right? That it's there. It's us. It's still us. So the pushed out, again, hopefully that kind of helps, because there is this aspect of us that's a little more multidimensional and does a lot of really cool stuff for us on our behalf. It's got credit that we don't have. Maybe that's a way to kind of look at it. Hopefully this kind of makes sense. Hopefully I answered the person's question. There's not really a way to know, but there's a lot of ways that you can gauge how things are going, and they are in progress, and it will happen. This works. I mean, again, I've said before, maybe it's an issue of time. I don't know. Like, I've had to wait 5 years. That's worth it to me. If I would have been told that 5 years ago, 5 years ago, no, I would have ran away. 4 years ago, yeah, if you would have said, yeah, you got 4 more years to go, I'd be like, yeah, okay, that's cool. I'll do this. I mean, I so knew at that point, but right off the bat, there was a couple times I got pretty frustrated with her and literally almost walked away. Like, literally almost got up in the middle of a date one time with her and almost walked away. So we've had our moments too, but that was like few and far. There was 2 times that happened. It was very, very early on. And then it was just weird how kind of everything just started to gel again. So it's just the way things play out sometimes. Who knows? The way it's going to play out. Your higher self's talking to you. You have your desires. Work together. Try to get you what you're trying to get, and try to get your answers. And then hopefully from there, you can move forward. I don't know. I'm hoping this helps. This is kind of the process I've been going through, just trying to share what I know, what I do, what works for me, and hopefully that can help you guys. We're going to go out with a song by Vanessa Carlton called 1,000 Miles. It's Dan Radio Style.
And I miss you, and now I want